told you the story of the time I worked out for a Marvel movie, Brad?
No, I haven't heard that story. This is going to be interesting.
Okay, so my wonderful assistant Beth last year started in with a trainer, and she inspired me. And I was like, you know what? Because last year I lost 50 pounds, and I was like, you know what? In 2026 I want to get strong again. So now I'm down on the weight, but I want to get strong again. And so I'm starting back in with a trainer. But I don't think I ever told you this story. Many moons ago, when I turned 40, my friend Joe Manganello, he's like, I got you a gift for your birthday, for your 40th birthday. It's 5 sessions, Brad. It's 5 sessions with the guy that Marvel calls when they need to get a star in 6 weeks into, like, super cut shape, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I jokingly said to Joe, I was like, oh, you mean steroids? And he's like, no, this guy's amazing. And so he's like, it's 6 sessions with this guy, and that's your birthday gift. And I was like, hot damn, that's a hell of a birthday gift. But here's the thing, Brad, I was terrified of going with this guy. I was like, so here's what happened. A year rolls around and it's my 41st birthday party, and Joe goes, hey, did you ever use the sessions that he said you never showed up? And I was like, oh crap,
You mean he
Joe,
couldn't tell just by looking at you?
I think that was the giveaway. And so anyway, I'm like, you know what? You're right, Joe. God, that was a good gift, and I'm sorry, buddy. I'll go use it. And so I called the guy, set up 6 appointments. I start going, Brad, but here's the thing. The guy was like, I mean, first of all, he himself was like a world-class athlete. He competed in, what's it called, circuit training or PR, not PRX. Anyway, some kind of thing where you have to do like 20 workout stations, bang, bang, bang. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Someone will correct me in the chat. But anyway, so Brad, every session, he'd be like, well, Dave, that was a great session. We'll see you next week. All right, thanks, Mike. All right, we'll see you next week. And I would go out to my car, Brad, in the parking lot, and then, I'm not kidding, I would vomit in my car every time. Every time I would go out to my... And so at the end of it, Joe's like, hey, how you doing? Are you going to sign up for another 6 with him? And I was like, Joe, I love you like a brother. No, absolutely not. I'm not signing up for this. Every time I vomit in the car. And if you ever want something that makes you not want to do a thing, it's having it where it triggers you to vomit at the end of it every time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, to hell with this. I am not doing this.
Oh, my God.
Brad, I am not made to be in a Marvel movie, Brad. That's what I've learned.
Well, I mean, listen, I wouldn't say you're not made to be in a Marvel movie. There's still plenty of characters you could play. The Vulture is still a character, right? You absolute piece of work, the Vulture. I mean, here's the thing, though. The Vulture was old, but he was also remarkably thin and wiry strong, wasn't he? He did not have a problem with a spare tire, let's put it. Well, you can't if you're going to be flying up there in the sky.
No, I mean, the thing about the Vulture was he was like old man strong, right? Wasn't that the thing with the Vulture?
Yeah, he had old man energy.
He had like prison strength, if you know what I mean. Like he had.
I loved also the fact that they put a hump on his back, but it turned out that's where the motor was that made his suit work.
Oh, that's right.
It also just happened to make him look more like a vulture, but they gave him a hump on his back, which I thought was just
clever design.
Very classic 1960s Marvel comics.
It counteracted for the all-green leotard that he would wear in some comics. And you're like, come on, man! Literally any other outfit. I guess we know that the Vulture dresses to the left, Brad, with that all-green leotard. And on that note,
this is where you do the introduction.
On that note, I want to say hello, everybody. Welcome to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and dressing to the left.
And making a living from comics. I'm Brad Guigar, the author of the Webcomics Handbook and the creator of Evil Inc.
And I'm his pal Dave Kellett, cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon and co-director of the comics documentary Stripped.
And this week's Hour of Comics Advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So Dave, let's talk comics.
Let's talk comics, my friend. We've got a huge show for everybody, and I promise you that you will not be vomiting at the end of the hour, unlike Dave Kellett doing circuit training with a Marvel movie trainer.
No, we're exactly the opposite. People listen to us and they just start craving a donut.
That's right. They put on weight listening to Comic Lab, if anything. So, Brad, I've got a question that comes into from our friend Patrick over at patreon.com/Comic Lab, where everybody is running, not walking, to jump in and join the community over at patreon.com/Comic Lab. And Patrick writes, Brad and Dave, something dawned on me a while back, and part of this question is is it just me? And part is philosophy. We all talk about joke writing, humor, comedy, etc. But I don't actually laugh at any humor strips that I read. In fact, I can only ever remember laughing out loud as a kid at the occasional Far Side. I read the funny comics because they're fun. I have fun with them. So my question is this largely just a me thing in my personal experience? Or is this something writ large? Do people actually think funny comics are funny, or do we simply enjoy them because they are fun? So, Brad, I have a question for you from Patrick. Is there such a thing as funny comics, Brad?
Well, let's take the first topic right off the bat. I feel a little bit weird explaining that to our question asker that there's a lot of different people in the world and they all have different reactions to different things. So the fact that you don't laugh out loud does not mean that no one laughs out loud. All right. There's a lot of people that
wait, Brad, are you saying that we're individuated people and we all have our own unique experience? And okay.
And by the way, you could say this about anything. We've all seen that person. In fact, there was a great scene in The Sopranos that kind of makes this very clear, where they show Paulie Walnuts and he's watching some episode of some old sitcom like Three's Company. And he's laughing at every punchline, like every punchline he's laughing, almost like he's laughing along with the laugh track, you know?
Right.
Which drives Tony up the wall. But we've seen people, by the way, that laugh out loud at sitcoms. And then other people, their reaction is maybe just a smile or, so yeah, there's a lot of different reactions to the same thing. I am a laugher. As you probably guessed, if you've listened to the show for more than 5 minutes, I'm a laugher. So I laugh out loud at comics. I laugh out loud at TV shows, at the movies. What about you, Dave? Do you laugh out loud?
Well, I will tell on both Brad and I, because much like every comedy writer that exists, I've been with Brad and we've both had this reaction too, where something is drop dead hilarious and we both go, and this is literally our out loud reaction. Oh, that's really funny. Oh boy, goddamn, that's really funny.
That was well
and that's
done.
Our reaction. There's no laughter, but we're recognizing the game. You know, we're like, boy, that's fantastic. That's really good. Boy, and so it's not verbal joy. It's more craft recognition. So we also have that, but like Brad said, in the vast panoply of human experience, you're going to get people that laugh out loud. You're going to get people that just recognizes game. You're going to get people that just enjoy the wry use of language. And then you're going to get people, and I have this, where they've come up to my booth and they go, I really enjoy your comic. It's very funny. And you're like, you've never laughed in your life. You have never laughed in your life. Because the human experience, people walk this world in vastly different ways. And so I've had people... I've also had this, Brad. They've come up to my booth laughingly retelling me one of my own jokes. Yeah. And in the back of my mind, Brad, and I know this has happened with you too, I'll be like, this is not worth the reaction that you're giving it. It's not that funny. You know what I mean? Like
nothing's ever been that funny.
And then the duck says to the dog, oh, not with three priests and a rabbi. And I'm like, that was not that funny, that joke. And yet you're laughing out loud retelling it. This is not worth it. So yeah, the human experience comes in all shapes and sizes, and there are people for whom comics are the be-all, end-all of joke delivery, and then there's the vast middle, and then there's people that never laugh a single time at any one of them.
Yeah, I have the same, and you can cycle through all of those. Like my son and I are watching through Modern Family because I'd never watched it, right? And he's like, you got to watch it. So whenever we're sitting around, like after dinner and there's nothing else going on, Max and I will put Modern Family on and watch a couple episodes. And I'll do each one of those reactions. Modern Family can get me to laugh out loud very, very easily.
Modern Family is very good.
And then there'll be something that they do where I just turn to my son and say, that was well done. Do you see how they set that up? That was amazing. Again, like you said, the craft, just the thinking that went into that. And sometimes, it's kind of like on Reddit, if you post on Reddit for any length of time, somebody will tell you, not that they laughed out loud, but they'll tell you that they breathed heavily through their nose. Right? Have you ever gotten that reaction? Where they go, yeah. Or a sensible chuckle. You'll get that meme all the time. So and I will go through all of those for an episode of Modern Family. I'll also go through all of those reading a bunch of comics. Like I'm scrolling through social media. There are some people that can reliably get me to laugh out loud. Some people, I just look at it and be like, oh, yeah, I see what you did there, and it was fantastic. I got to steal that structure sometime because I love the way that worked. It does it mean, so here's the thing. If you're watching somebody on the bus and they're reading your comic on their phone and they don't laugh, does that mean that you're not funny? No, it just means that people have different reactions for different things. And it's not like A plus B equals C kind of formula. There's a whole lot more going on there than just if it's funny, then they laugh out loud.
So I just had a thought occur to me, and you tell me if this is a weird thought. There are times where I don't want to laugh out loud, if that makes sense. I just want to enjoy the craft of it. Yeah. And so I don't mind that I'm not like, for example, in terms of comics, Jim Benton always makes me laugh out loud. That guy is really funny. By the way, we have Jim on the show.
We do. I ran into him at Comic-Con, which has to be about 2 years ago because I think it was the last time. And I go up and I told him I introduced myself. I said, we got to have you on their show, and you're fantastic. He had some stuff going on that made it impossible for him to do that that particular year. But we've got to get back to him. And he says, he goes, while I'm at it, why don't I do a sketch for you? So you could maybe, kind of give it away if you want to give it away for like a prize on Comic Lab or something like that. I said, that's fantastic. He does this beautiful little sketch. He says, do you want me to make it out to anybody? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, make it out to Brad. And it's hanging on my wall right over there. But
that's
Jim,
funny.
It's so interesting in my Discord for Evil Inc. It's a really kind of vibrant group of people, and they're constantly posting stuff that they found here or there. As long as it was publicly posted is the rule. If it was publicly posted, you can bring it into Discord. Somebody just 24 hours ago put up a Jim Benton comic that had a scene in it looked like a bread shop, right? And there was clearly 3 or 4 birds in a trench coat, and the caption was, "How about we just all buy our damned bread and mind our business?" And the beautiful thing was it had 3 little bird heads up in the neck, looking out. But then each of the pant legs had 3 or 4 little bird feet.
So implying just a
whole
mass of birds inside
there. But that's the stuff about Benton that's so great, is that it's so beautifully crafted and devastatingly funny. But he's somebody that I'm the same way. He makes me laugh out loud.
But what I'm getting at, though, in terms of like, there are times where I don't want to laugh out loud, is that I'm not, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not asking that of my comedy. What I'm asking for sometimes is just passively enjoying the craft of watching comedy. But I will say this, I'm rewatching for the first time in 10 or 15 years, 30 Rock, which is, and for my money, Tina Fey is one of the best American humorists that's ever lived. She is 100%. So goddamn talented. She's so good. But her awareness of craft in watching that show, first of all, the acting, Alec Baldwin is like at his best comic game in that show. But her ability with craft in terms of weaving jokes in setting up payoffs that sometimes don't happen for 20 minutes later. And you're like, God damn it, that is so good that you have weaved that in, and in a way that completely went under my radar as a viewer, but also as a fellow comic writer. And you're like, geez Louise, that's so good. So anyway, what I'm saying is sometimes I just want to watch the craft unfold. I don't necessarily need something to make me laugh out loud. Like I will enjoy an SNL news desk where I just go, that was well written. That was well written. That was, and I don't need to laugh out loud. Like I just need to appreciate the craft of it. So to answer Patrick's question, human beings will have a variety of reactions to it. But the question, Brad, is should you try to write to make someone laugh out loud? I guess that's a different way as creators that we should look at this.
I don't know how you would gauge your success at that. I mean, the answer is, of course, yes. You should always write to be as funny as you possibly can. And we've talked about, particularly on Pro Tips when we're doing Writer's Room, we talk about pushing the concept and, letting time be your editor and not just going with the first punchline that comes to mind. And letting it, coming back to that punchline a few days later when you're out of that mindset so you can truly judge it so that you can push it. And so, of course, the goal is to always write as funny as you can. But I don't know that you'd ever be able to gauge whether you made anybody laugh out loud unless you're, installing spyware on your website or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I want to, as the kids say, I want to give my friend Brad Geiger his flowers because for people that have not listened to Writer's Room on Pro Tips, which is a show that we do from time to time on our weekly Pro Tips episodes, which goes out just to Patreon backers. But my friend Brad Geiger is excellent at saying to me, Dave, this is a good joke. Let's give it 2 more minutes, 5 more minutes of pushing it to see if we can find something even funnier. Yeah. And every time we do that, he's like, I know we are close. This is good. You could do this, but just give it 5 more minutes of punchline revision. And by God, we give it 5 more minutes, and every time Brad makes it better. So I want to just give him his flowers on that. I love that phrase. It's so stupid. It's such a goddamn stupid phrase. Give someone their flowers. So anyway, I want to give Brad his flowers.
I appreciate that. The first time I ever heard that phrase was from our friend Jamar Nicholas, who said something about
Jamar. By the way, Jamar has such a wonderful, warm personality that from him it works. Yeah. But also, even he says it winkingly, like give someone their flowers. But Jamar is so funny. I miss Jamar. I look forward to seeing him. But whenever he says it, there is also sincerity matched with humor, which is like the perfect blend. You know what I mean? When I say it, it's just sarcasm. Like I want to give my friend Brad his flowers. But
wait a minute. It was sarcasm.
No. But anyway, for folks that have not listened to it, I actually really recommend listening to 5 or 6 of those Writers' Rooms episodes that Brad and I do, because you'll see 2 people, and it actually goes both ways. 2 people that go, yeah, this is good, but we can push it a little bit more. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, 2 pros giving it time and sitting at it and marinating in possibilities, we do find something funnier. And so it's one of those things where we do try to make it as funny as possible to our own human abilities, of which there's limitations to, but before we release it. So yes, I think you should always write it to be the funniest you can be, but also knowing that over the 5,000 plus Sheldons that I've done and the thousands and thousands and thousands of Evil Inks and Greystone Inns that Brad has done over the years, there's going to be some where it's like, yeah, that wasn't my best, but I still appreciate it structurally. It was I see what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
You're not. I guess what I'm saying is not everyone is going to be a laugh out loud hit.
No, and we talk about this on the show from time to time, and it's worth reiterating to be a little bit careful about the feedback that you do get from readers, because a lot of time, again, going back to that, sensible chuckle, and you made me breathe hard out of my nose, or here's one that I get every now and again that really upsets me. And it's not being said in a pleasant way. It's said as a criticism. It took me too long to get this.
Okay.
It took me too long to get this. What do you
mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
You write a joke and it took them too long to figure out what the punchline was. The problem with that is there are certain punchlines that are written to take you a second, to take you a beat to figure out what's the punchline. Charles Adams was amazing at writing stuff that you didn't get immediately. It wasn't it wasn't like a Rodney Dangerfield joke, which, by the way, both people undisputably funny, but Dangerfield's stuff was lightning fast, right? A girl
I know what you mean. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Now I get it. There are some comedians that write for, look, it's a single punchline, bam, you're gonna make the connection, bada bing, bada boom. But there's other ones for whom it unfolds, and the more you think about it, there's layers to it, and there's an unfolding that happens. You're like, oh man, and this, and this, and this, and this. You know, like Patton Oswalt's humor a lot of times is that, where you're like, it unfolds. But yes, Charles Adams is great at that, where it's the slow dawning realization. So now I understand what you mean. I'm sorry that I didn't see that before.
Meant to happen that way.
Yes, it's constructed to do that way.
So it's important not to get bamboozled by that kind of stuff, because you've got to have the confidence to say, hey, I know it was supposed to take you a minute to get. That's the whole point. In fact, if you would have gotten it faster, it wouldn't have been funny. Right? And some of that slow dawning realization actually makes it a better joke. Right?
Yes.
I had one. I'll blow my own horn because I thought this was.
By the way, the flexibility. Good job, Brad. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, tell me about it. Well, and I didn't need to, have 6 training sessions with Mr. Universe over there, which I would have been vomiting just as much.
I'm not building myself up. I vomited at the end of every single. That's what I'm saying. I didn't come out being in better shape. I came out having vomited.
Going back to that, you vomited in the car. Why not vomit outside of the car and then go?
Because I was embarrassed. I got as far. I couldn't go to the bathroom in the gym because all the people that I worked out with were like in that. I couldn't be like, okay, I'll be in stall 2. All right, that's me coming out of stall 2. Gosh, I wonder who vomited a minute ago. Could it have been Dave? So I couldn't do it in the bathroom. I couldn't do it in the parking lot because there's people out in the parking lot pushing tires. They're flipping tractor tires.
Oh, good Lord, really?
And pushing sleds. Yeah, it was one of those gyms where like, oh my God, it was LA and it was all movie stars. Anyway, so there are people pushing sleds of weights and people flipping tractor tires in the parking lot. So I couldn't vomit in the parking lot. I couldn't vomit in the bushes of the parking lot. And I wasn't going to make it home. So I couldn't get in my car. So I just learned to bring a trash can with a little trash can. I'd sit in the back seat of my car because those windows are tinted, and I would just have a quick, discreet vomit, and then off I go.
Just like when we had small kids in our lives, and you had that plastic bag in the back seat all the time because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Absolutely, yeah. Or you had the extra cup just in case your son had to pee on the car ride home.
Oh my God, yes.
And so, so I just had my discreet little vomit in the back seat, and vroom, 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 off I go, Brad. Home to sit on the floor while my wife said, I'm not sure you should do this anymore.
I think this whole getting healthy stuff is killing you.
So anyway, Patrick, thank you for the question. That was Brad. God, if there's one thing Brad and I love to talk about every week is humor. And so I personally thank you for that question. And I'm going to jump us into our next question, Brad, that comes in over at patreon.com/Comic Lab. And it is a simple one. And I will direct this to the master of Patreon, Brad Geiger. Brad Geiger, will you, and in general, will you guys be trying Patreon's Quips, Brad? The new feature on Patreon, Patreon's Quips.
So if you're a longtime listener to the show, you already know that we were on the beta for Patreon Quips, and we experimented.
And longtime listeners will know that I love Brad's pronunciation of beta.
Beta.
He makes it 2 very clear syllables. It's not beta like every other American
like
says.
A slob.
It's beta.
Beta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the beta testing. I'm Brad Geiger, scientist.
We were among the beta. Oh yeah,
wow!
You wore me down.
You can teach an old dog new tricks. All right, keep going.
We were among the first users of that software, and I don't want to say that we were unimpressed. because we were
Gang,
promoting
listen
a
to Brad's
podcast.
voice when he said that. I don't want to say that we were unimpressed. You were sounding so unimpressed.
I don't want to. Because what Patreon is doing here is the kind of stuff that you and I say on the show all the time that Patreon should be doing. This whole idea of Patreon quips, I think, is part of their effort to improve their discoverability and to kind of catch up a little bit with Substack. And I think it's a great idea for the podcast. And by the way, we leaned in hard, and by we, I was over there putting out a daily blasts at one point. For the podcast, we did not see a whole lot of benefit from it. But that might be because that the posts didn't necessarily have a strong visual hook, which I could see that with the podcast. So
we should have done Brad Guigar in a little mesh shirt,
That's right, with my nipple clamps, and the little nipple tassels going different directions.
Yeah. That's
would
the
have
trick.
That would have gotten us
the physics.
And also, I mean, listen, we are very adamant on don't listen to a reader, listen to your readers. But it is worth noting that we had at least one person that it seemed to be very furious with us posting on Patreon quips. It didn't mean that we stopped doing it. We kept doing it. But wait,
I didn't hear this. I wasn't paying attention to this.
This was on the Discord server, and they were just, it got under their skin so bad.
I remember this because they thought, they're like, I don't want this nonsense. This is not what I want on my feed. Right. Is that what? Yeah. And I kind of get that, but can't you limit that out at your own account level?
You do have control over your notifications. Yes. I think their argument was, though, that if they limited notifications, then they wouldn't get other notifications that Comic Lab might be putting out. And I don't know how, I haven't touched it in such a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know how granular it gets.
Whenever a reader makes a complaint like that, where they could control it on their account level, to me, that kind of complaint always sounds like, Brad, who has shit in my pants? I am so mad right now. You know what I mean? It's like, you can control this. Why are you yelling at me? You can fix this. Click the button that says you don't want it. That's all you got to do. You know? I don't know.
And rest assured, if we had been getting really good, if we'd been getting great results from posting on Quips, we'd be still posting on it today. Regardless of what one person says. But it is worth noting, just for somebody who's going to experiment with that, especially in the early days when people were not expecting it, didn't know what to expect, and they didn't. We talked, even on the show, we talked about how navigation was kind of weird because they were incorporating quips, and there was a transition period that was a little bit difficult. The answer to the question is I will not be using quips until they have it set up that I can post this on desktop. Right now, quips, you can only post it using like a smartphone. And that is just way too much work. It's like, even if I want to, it's so much of what I'm able to do is because I don't do the same thing over and over and over again. I can take one, like a Blue Sky post, I can copy and paste that and put it someplace else very easily. And that's the only way you're going to get a whole lot of stuff done. On Patreon quips, I couldn't just copy something over because it was like that whole thing where, you've got a fox, a chicken, and a bag of wheat, and you can only move them off the island one at a time. It was that sort of a thing where I couldn't have the text and the link. I'd have to go back and forth, and if I went back, it'd be erased when I went forth, and the wolf would eat the chicken. It was just horrible. So I'm not using quips at all until for two reasons. We were a little bit unimpressed with the beta, and it's until they come out with a desktop interface. There's just no way it's fitting into my workflow. However, once and hopefully if that does happen, even though one of the big things that we've talked about is the 221. system of publishing, I will probably, once they open up desktop, I will probably experiment with for about 3 months, gauge the return on investment for that, and then react accordingly.
Yeah, I just want to underline everything Brad just said, because I completely agree that I also want to encourage Patreon to continue exploring and experimenting. This is how it's going to succeed. This is how it will keep up with Substack. This is good for us that there's an ecosystem of competition. So yes, I support the Patreon quips existing. Like Brad, I have always hated apps that require you to do mobile uploading. Like Instagram drove me nuts because it was a constant, like, copy this one little bit, go over, paste that one little bit, copy this other little bit, bring it back, that part over, upload the photos from my Dropbox to my it just drove me nuts. I was like, God bless America. So I agree with Brad that only for efficiency, I just want it to exist on desktop. And my final thought is that much like what Brad's doing, I also will wait for Brad to experiment with it for 3 months, and then I will implement it based on what Brad's. No, in all honesty, because you guys have this in your life too, is that certain friendships, there are things that I will experiment with, and then I'll tell Brad, and he'll be like, "Oh, that's great. Then I'm going to implement this." Yeah. And then there are things that Brad will experiment with, and then I'll be like, "Oh, great. I'll now implement it." And for whatever reason, Brad's always a little faster with his Patreon experimentations than I am. I think you're just more in the ecosystem. You're just better at it than I am.
I also like to tinker. I like to tinker an awful lot.
Well, I do too. But what I'm saying is that I tinker. I know that there are ways that I tinker that you call me and you're like, "Hey, how did you do this?" And I was like, "I'll just walk you through it." We sort of give freebies to one another. Like, here's my week's worth of experimentation. You could take it for free. And so Brad will call me and be like, "Hey, how do I do this?" And I'll call him and be like, "How do I do that?" And for this kind of thing, I do feel like you ultimately will experiment with it before it will even enter my radar. You'll just be like, you're just better at using Patreon on a day-to-day basis. I'll put it that way. Yeah. You live and breathe that ecosystem in a way that I don't.
I appreciate that. And I gotta say,
I'm really giving you your flowers today, by the way. I want you to know
so many flowers over here.
So many flowers have you been given. So Jamar, thank you for teaching us that phrase, because I have given Brad some flowers today.
But I will say, like, especially since I will give a little shout out to Shortio, which was that that branded link tracker that you could shorten links and then it would track it for you. That's one of the first things I do when I sit down at the studio still is go in and see what's working and what's not. And I've gotten a little bit granular in how I'm using that, because even with that, certain things can get stripped out and you're still not sure where things are coming from. So
right.
For something just recently, just to test it out, for one type of thing, I had 4 different links. One of them said this came from Blue Sky. One of them said this came from Reddit. Just so I could, because then that can't be stripped out. You click on the link, that's the only place that the link shows up, right? And so I will absolutely be using Shortio to see if I get any kind of return on investment from quips. And if it's happening, partially also because there's so much smoke and mirrors, and it's so easy to dangle your keychains in front of your garden variety creative person and get them to go, wow, right? Like, we all take a look at insights at Patreon and see the little bar chart go up and down and up and down. And it's very easy to go, wow, this. Yeah. But until you see that translated into Patreon backers or even to free members, and until you see that kind of thing happening, until you see links actually being clicked, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so I'm not gonna listen to anybody saying, "Oh, quips is this, quips is that," because I know how easily some people can be impressed with numbers. Yeah. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give it a 3-month test, and then I'll be talking about it on the show.
So
You just mentioned Shortio, which is another one that you're experimenting with that I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm not using Shortio. I don't care to use Shortio. But can I tell you, and this is going to be a long walk for this joke explanation, but every time you say Shortio, I think of those manufactured music careers from the 90s. Like, okay, so remember how Menudo was this manufactured boy band from Mexico? But in the 90s, they specifically, rap had taken off. And so they had these kid rappers that clearly the record studios were manufacturing. So they had like Lil Bow Wow and Criss Cross, right? But they were all like little kid name rappers. And every time you say Shortio, it just seems like a record studio manufacturing a rap career for a 10-year-old. Like, all right, let's welcome onto the stage Shortio. And little cute kid comes out and starts rapping about his teachers.
Little Italian kid comes out.
But it just seems like you know what I mean? It just seems like a manufactured name for a kid's rap career in the 90s. I don't know why Shortio just seems like a band. So anyway, that's a long walk.
Shortio's on a double bill with Coolio, which is nice.
Coolio and Shortio, but they're opening for Criss Cross because Jump is doing great on the top 100 Billboard. Anyway, so yes, are we happy that Patreon is experimenting? Of course.
Yeah.
Will we use it right now? Probably not so much. But when Brad really dives in, then I know to dive in.
Yeah, and that's going to happen when they open up desktop. Because again, I'm the same as you. I loathed using Instagram for all the reasons you listed. And again, and keeping with the theme, if I had gotten great results, I would have bit my lip and done it. Right. But when we'll see what happens when they come out with the desktop. I know for a fact that Patreon knows that they need to release this in desktop. I know it's on their radar that this needs to happen, and sooner the better as far as I'm concerned. I'd love to be able to experiment with it.
Yeah. Hey, gang, if you're listening while you work, take a minute to stand and stretch.
And while you're doing that, we'll tell you why you should join us on Patreon.
Yeah, because when you do, you'll get hours and hours of podcasts that we've recorded just for backers.
And exclusive Patreon posts that go even deeper on Comic Lab topics.
And you'll get access to our exclusive Discord server, a thriving community of professional cartoonists.
So you can support the show you love and get tons of actionable resources for your own cartooning.
And ho Nelly, if you want even more comics goodness in your life, check out the new drawing show that we're doing with our pal Kevin McShane over at wrongwayshow.com. That's wrongwayshow.com.
In each episode, we'll show you how to draw your favorite cartoon characters the wrong way.
Now, everybody, let's talk comics. So I wanted to do a quick mid-show update, Brad, just talking about financials for a second. Because one of the things on the show, and just in our human hearts as well, is we tend to be quick to trumpet our successes and not so quick to trumpet like both failures and like blasé things, you know? Yeah. So I just wanted to say I'm currently ahead of the game in terms of doing my taxes for 2025. And I haven't yet reconciled the month of December, which admittedly is a big sales month for me with book sales on the store. But I just want to say that it's looking like my 2025 was not a great year financially in terms of like not bad. As I told Beth, my assistant Beth, I said, well, we made payroll and ultimately that's all that matters. You know, like we survived another year.
I'm sure she agreed.
Yeah. She's like, oh, good, I have a job.
Thank goodness for that.
I still have a job. That's great. But it was, I kind of went through the year thinking like, oh yeah, I'm doing fine. Not really realizing that I had a good San Diego Comic-Con, admittedly. It was a great one. I had a good Kickstarter, not two good Kickstarters. I had a good Kickstarter.
Right.
But it wasn't gangbusters in terms of like, you know, oh boy, that'll solid gold cards for everybody, you know, that kind of thing. So what I'm finding, though, is that at the end of the year, looking back and on my almost reconciled books for 2025, that everything was just sort of okay, Brad. You know what I mean? Like nothing was terrible, or else it would have risen to my
concern levels, and clearly, but nothing was great. And so I think what happened is I was kind of in 2025 coasting on my laurels. And so one of my little personal goals for 2026 is to up my game again. And so in a way, I wanted to bring this on the show both to say that not every year is going to be gangbusters, that's fine. But also to say that, like, listen, Brad and I have our so-so years too. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And this apparently was, and what's kind of caught me off guard is that it kind of flew under my radar. I wasn't paying enough attention, Brad, to be tracking that it was just a so-so year. So in my mind's eye, I was like, you know what? Now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe it was because the world was so on fire that I was distracted by that. I'm wondering if it was like a low-level depression.
That's forgivable.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that, because I was very distracted in 2025 by the hey, look at the fire over here. Oh no, there's another fire over there. And
often it was an actual fire.
I mean in Los Angeles, yes.
Yeah.
So in fact, we just had a text exchange with the 4 families that stayed in our house during the fire. So yes. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because how should I be approaching that for 2026? Given that it was just a so-so year for 2025.
Listen, I think your your outlay in what you're going to be doing is right on track. In other words, you're saying, hey, I was off track now and I need to focus. I think whether we continue to record it or not, the accountability thing that we've kind of talked about doing is possibly a big help there.
And for those that are not familiar, by the way, the accountability pals that Brad is talking about is this fantastic chart that Brad has shared with Patreon members. And once a month, we're going to do a pro tips episode, again, just for Patreon, where we literally check in on, like, did you do X, Y, Z? Have you done this? What are you doing? What are you planning? And but also an emotional check-in of how things are going creatively. So it's a whole list, literally a list of things that we'll check in with every month.
There's something else here that's worth talking about. Because it's again, like you said, we're the first to say, hey, this went great. Let me tell you all about it. But it's also important that we share the downturns, the failures, the times that we, stubbed our toes or shot ourselves in the keister. But this is also something that's a very worthwhile conversation. And that is the following. A lot of times we'll say something on the show and one of our listeners will say, yeah, but Brad and Dave, you guys started back in the 2000s. You built your audience in a different time.
Right. It was easier back then. Yeah, exactly.
It was easier back then. You built your audience in a different time. And so you can't, when you talk about this, that, and the next, you're out of, you can't really speak to that. And what Dave just got done telling you is there is no such thing as a built audience. Dave and I are building audience constantly. That's because an audience is not something that you built and then walk away from. And now all those people are locked in and they've got to be your readers for the rest of their lives. Or even with Patreon backers, even Patreon backers. I've got some of them that have stayed for years, going all the way back to 2014. I've got some of them that cancel within 5 minutes of signing up because that's how they control their monthly subscription. They don't get a surprise next month when they forget unsubscribe if they want to. So I've got the whole gamut, but an audience is very much like the Ship of Theseus. You're continually taking some parts off, replacing it with other parts. You never have a built audience. You're always in building mode. And that's exactly what Dave just got done exemplifying in so many words, right?
I'm just so excited that you got to roll in the Ship of Theseus into that. That's fantastic. I'm here for a Ship of Theseus reference anytime you want to use it. But yes, Brad's right. At any given time, we've said this before, you should imagine that 1 to 5% of your audience is actively leaving by the end of the month. So your goal is to gain 2 to 6% new audience every month to replace that 1 to 5%. Why are they leaving? Sadly, there's a percentage that die every month. And I'm not kidding about that. You do this long enough.
Have you gotten that yet?
Yes, I've gotten many, not once, but probably 10 to 15 times. Beth and I have gone to fulfill a Kickstarter and we get an email from the spouse saying, no need to mail it. Jim has died or Susan has died. And you're like, oh my God, my heart. Yeah. And some of them I have met at Comic-Cons. And so it literally breaks my heart, that I'm like, oh, God damn it. And, so death, but many a times people move jobs or move from their college computer to their work computer and they lose all the links that they had, or they had some kind of crash and they forget all their bookmarks, or there's a billion reasons why someone forgets to read for a month and then they just forget for years. And then you'll get the email like Brad and I get, oh my God, Evil Ink, it's still going. It's like, I never stopped. I never stopped.
Yes, I've been here all along. Where have you been?
I got that on Blue Sky last week where someone goes, Sheldon is still going? I said, it's been going for 25 years.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, so yes, there's a constantly rotating door, as Brad said, and it is a Ship of Theseus. And so one of the big warnings for me with this year is that you cannot, you could coast for a year or two probably, but I can't do it very long because even just coasting 1 year, my financials got a little bit, diminished from the year before. And so it is the truth eternal for Brad and I, not only people that are just starting now, but cartoonists that have been going for 30 years. You constantly have to re-earn your audience, and then you constantly have to earn their dollar, whether it's from a Kickstarter, a Patreon, a book, a Comic-Con appearance, with genuine entertainment that makes their life better, such that they're willing to spend money. So it is not a thing that you can make something once and never work hard again. Yeah. It is an eternal struggle to keep the audience going and to keep your art at a level that keeps them going,
And it's a warning to anybody who's maybe in the middle there. They're not starting out and they're not people that have been doing this for 25, 30 years, but they're in the middle.
Right.
Here's the warning to that person. You've always got to be learning. You've always got to be staying in touch with what's working right now. Right?
What do you mean? Is that just a different way of saying that you've got to keep your head on a swivel?
What it means is, for example, you and I we had started this whole journey back before social media, before, we had that web ring talk, right? And it was before social media. But then we had to learn social media. And then certain things came around that we kind of thought that we had left behind. Webtoons and Tapas came around. And it's like, oh, we've already seen this. That was called Keen Spot and Modern Tales back in the 2000s, right? But then we had to judge that, and we had to see how that worked and if that worked and if that was advantageous. And that came around with some of us did very, very well on Twitter and then had to make the decision to divest from Twitter. And in other words, you've always got to be learning how audience is being, how to reach your audience today, because how we reached our audience even 3 years ago is not necessarily the same as what we're doing today. You can even go back, I'm sure, and listen to we go back to 2018 on this show. There's probably certain things that we said in 2018 and 2019 that we wouldn't necessarily endorse today because it's changed so much. I guarantee I was given advice on Facebook user groups back in 2018. I guarantee you can find that topic or fan pages and stuff like that. It's completely different. So if you're in the middle of your career, you and you're thinking, well, one of these days I can stop paying attention to what's working here and what's not working there. And just like our previous conversation with Shortio, if you think you're ever going to be able to stop experimenting with the next new thing or trying to find new ways of getting information, that's never going to happen because your audience is never built. It's always in building mode. You're always doing it. And so if you're in the middle on your career and you're thinking incorrectly that at some point this all ends, it doesn't. Dave and I, part of the whole reason we do this show is that it's a really good excuse for us to always be on the lookout for what's going on so we can talk intelligently about it.
it's both a chance for us to pay forward what we know, but it's also a chance for us to keep our finger on the pulse of what is working, what's not working, what are people trying, how are people reaching out to their readers now. Brad's right. This is our way of both checking in with our friend who we trust for their business advice, but also keeping it abreast of what's working out there. So absolutely. And not to be too excited about it, but I just love the visual metaphor that our careers are the ship of Theseus. It's absolutely the case. And have we ever said this before, or is this the first time?
This was literally a shower thought. I don't know whether I've shared this. I will share this part.
I hope in general you don't share your shower thoughts, because I don't need to know.
I do this show in the shower constantly. Constantly. I'll sit.
This is so endearing to me. I'm just imagining a naked Brad going da 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 in the shower, and then he's like he's soaping up.
I was talking about. I've got one of those fogless mirrors that you can shave in. And
okay, wait a minute. Will you send me the brand? Because I have a fogless mirror, and that son of a bitch fogs up every time I'm shaving in the shower.
You put the water in the back?
I do. I put the water in the back. Wait, what do you have?
That's what makes it fogless. There's a thing you put water in the back.
No, mine's like a flat plate, but it said it was fogless, and it's not. You're gonna email me the link for that.
I'll show you mine. You put water in the back, and it's fogless, and then you can do your show.
I have never had a good fogless shower mirror, so yes. All right,
This will be how we take Comic Lab to the next level. We get you a fogless mirror, and you can start doing the show in your shower. Pretty soon, we'll just be doing the show in the shower. We'll just hang a little microphone over the shower curtain.
Oh my goodness!
But I was doing, and for some reason, Ship of Theseus came out of my mouth, and I was like, "That, you know what? That's actually a pretty apt description."
It's very apt, and I'm really here for it. I love the idea that a comics career in 2026 and forever now has been a Ship of Theseus, because you're replacing one plank. Oh, this one's starting to rot out. Oh, Twitter's going, let's tear that plank out and replace it with blue sky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The career itself is still there. You're just replacing planks. You know.
Going back to another one of my all-time great failures, and this dovetails in. We did a show several years ago that said that webcomics has been through 5 major shifts. Yep. There's been 5 ages of webcomics. I
remember that, yeah.
Do you remember at the NCS last year when we get talking about it and somehow this topic comes up when we're sitting there talking to Greg Evans? And he says, 5? And I go, absolutely. And I go on to list 4, and I get to number 5, and I sat there looking like a guppy. And you and him are looking at me like, and I completely blanked on the 5th age of webcomics, which was the whole thing that I came up with. But yeah, just in case you haven't had enough stories about how your favorite comics uncles sometimes stub their toe and step on the Lego, that was another one of my great performances.
That was one of my favorite lunches, because this was one of Brad's lengthier sit-downs with Greg Evans, the creator of Luann, who I could tell as a friend Brad wanted to become chums with. Respected Greg's career, wanted to become liked his sense of humor, wanted to become friends with him. Brad proceeds to invite 2 Southern Californians to a Mexican restaurant in Boston, of all places, that had the worst quesadillas. And so these 2 Southern Californians are like,
were just fine. It was, first of all,
it's the easiest Mexican food to not mess up. And somehow it was so off brand. And then Brad's like, oh, you guys are going to love this restaurant. Do you like the smell of cleaning supplies with your food? Because boy, do I have the restaurant for you. Brad, we were like awash in a bleach smell. And then we got these weird quesadillas that were not good quesadillas.
Those were fine quesadillas. I ate mine, and I ate yours, and I ate some of Greg's.
You ate all 3 quesadillas. But Brad got and then there's the coup de grace at the end of the lunch. He goes, oh yeah, Greg, let me tell you about the 5 epics of webcomics. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, check please, check, because I got to get out of here. It was amazing. It was just a great lunch all around. Greg was like, well, that was a hell of a lunch. So anyway, but yes, there have been, we have talked about that there have been massive changes from the t-shirt era to the advertising era.
Yes, we've had to relearn how we did our business 5 times. Yeah. We had to learn it from the ground up. And We started out by making it up as we went along, and then we've had to remake it up as we went along 5 times.
And you're going to say to yourself, oh, well, they're talking about the business side of things. Not even necessarily.
Yeah.
Even in comics, the idea of the vertical scroll, massive change for comic strips. The idea of slicing up comics into individuated panels, either for swiping or for a scroll, massive change in the format of comics. So it's been both on the art side and on the business side of things.
Yep. And we've had to hang with it every damn time. And so if you think that there's a point at which this all ends and you can just coast, it doesn't happen.
No.
And this goes back to our conversation from last episode, where we said we have to redefine a cartoonist to include business and promotion as the list of things that you are expected to do. That's not going to change. It's never going to change. And again, we've seen so many examples of people who don't realize this and sign over the business end of their comics to somebody and just take a major screwing as a result.
Yep.
It's better this way. It's better. Listen, as much as this drives Dave and I crazy, and as much as we're dreading having to learn everything from the ground up for a 6th time and continue figuring out how to find an audience, how to build an audience, how to secure that audience, as much as it makes us crazy, it's way better than the alternative.
Absolutely, because as Brad and I say all the time, winning awards is not the victory of comics. The victory of comics is surviving another year to be a professional cartoonist.
Yes.
So, yes, 2025 turned out to be kind of a milquetoast year financially, but I survived.
You survived
and now
it.
in 2026, because I had a milquetoast 2025, I'm now doing 2 Kickstarters in 2026 instead of 1. And I've now upped my game in terms of created eBay pieces, and we're going to up our game for what we make for Comic-Con. So it's going to be a bigger push in 2026 because we saw the numbers were milquetoast for 2025. So, so we're going to ship a Theseus this baby, and we're going to keep learning. And I'm going to find new ways in 2026 to disappoint Greg Evans at lunch. That's my goal. So, Brad, I've got one last question for you for Comic Lab this week. And this comes in from John over at patreon.com/Comic Lab. And John writes, hey, comics professors, I'm reluctant to post on Reddit because their clientele scare the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I love this line. I feel like a 3rd grader in a biker bar when I read some of those threads. Yeah. I've heard you both warn us about that in previous podcasts, but how would you handle Reddit trolls and unsolicited criticisms? Thanks for the continued advice and support. So, Brad, I turn to you, my favorite 3rd grader. How do you handle the biker bar that you walk into?
Oh, I don't. In fact, I've said in the past, I've rage quit Reddit so many times because of that, where it's just like that. You know what? Screw you. I don't need you either, and just walk away. And it wasn't until some other not safe for work cartoonists started showing me what they were doing there and how effective it was, that I started sharing the safe for work version of Evil Inc. on there and started getting really, really remarkable results, driving people to my Patreon. But it was really difficult dealing with those comments. And I'll say this, not only the comments, but other cartoonists, it was very difficult to deal with because here's what happens if you start posting on the comics subreddit or the webcomics subreddit for any length of time. You'll find out that comics posted there fall into 3 categories. Some might argue 4, but I'm going to say 3. And that is, you've got your wholesome comics, you've got your relatable comics, and you've got your humor comics. Okay. Some people might put NSFW into a 4th category.
I think,
I would argue that 9 chances out of 10, the NSFW comic is a humor comic that happens to be NSFW. Right?
Okay.
In other words, there's no comic where it's just NSFW for the sake of being 18 plus, right? It's just, there's always some kind of, at least as much of an attempt at a punchline as a safe for work comic that is hitting a punchline.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
That's where my head is at there. And if you spend any time, you'll see people who do wholesome comics crying to the wind that people that do relatable comics have it so much better. They post absolute nothing according to these people and get all kinds of upvotes. Meanwhile, the people doing relatable comics point to people doing humor comics and saying, those guys don't have to do anything and they just get all the upvotes. Everybody's all convinced that everybody else got it easier. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there going, thank God for wholesome comics. It's not my flavor, but when I look at a wholesome comic, which to me is kind of like panel 1, somebody saying, I need a hug, and panel 2, somebody comes in and gives them a hug. Okay, that's not for me. And I'm very clear about that. But you look at that response that it gets, and it's for somebody. And thank God it's there. There's room in comics for that person.
There is. Yeah.
And thank God. And a relatable comic, which just, again, doesn't necessarily hit a punchline, but it just says, it's like, this happened to me too, right? Or that my dog does that. Marmaduke, right. the king of all relatable comics, right? Or it'll be a situation that happened at work and you'll see people saying, oh my God, that happened to me too. Relatable comics. Not for me, but my God, they've got an audience and people absolutely crave some of that in their life.
Yes.
And so thank God they're there. I feel the same way about safe for work humor comics. I feel the same way about not safe for work. I'm so happy that they're all there because they've all got their audience. I'd love if us cartoonists could start supporting each other, whether it's our flavor or not, because my God, we're getting enough from the commenters without firing shots at each other saying, well, you got it easy. You got it easy. As far as the commenters go, Dave, we've got no advice for that any further than advice you've already heard 110 times. Don't read the comments. Don't take them seriously. Don't get angry. Every time I post, I get somebody complaining about how I draw. I get somebody complaining in a different comic that they didn't get the joke. It's full of that. All right. And the only thing that you can do, and I freely admit I do this, if I will watch my Reddit post for the first hour, and if anything like that comes up, I'll downvote it immediately to do my part in keeping that down. Now, that I can't control that, but it makes you feel good to downvote that immediately, right? It's a little bit cathartic. Mm-hmm. I've got no problems. And by the way, I guarantee I'm not the only person doing that because, of course, that would be your first reaction as a content creator to do that. But you can't do anything. All you can do is sit back. And by the way, here's the moral of the story. And then I'm going to stop pontificating and you can give me your thoughts. But here's the moral of this whole story. Some of the comments where I got some of my meanest, nastiest vitriol pushback from commenters were also the days I picked up the most Patreon backers. Yes. And again, because of my Shortio links, I could tell they were coming from Reddit.
Yeah.
Some of the days that I got the most abuse, I also got the most revenue, paid revenue through Patreon that then they're there. It's my job to keep them, right? Because Patreon is also a Ship of Theseus. It happens all the time. And it's something to keep in the back of your mind that it's not about those comments. One of those NSFW comic artists, and I feel terrible. We got to do a show. Okay, I'm just going to say it right now. We're going to do a show where we talk Reddit strategy, and I'm going to list and credit these guys so I get the right guys credited. But I think I told you in the past, he goes, hey, you had, maybe 30,000 views on that comment. 21 people responded. 2 of them were nasty. That's statistically an outlier. You can't even count them. It's so statistically not part of the gang.
And yet, because the human mind is a difference engine and is constantly searching for threats,
your mind will seize on the two things that were threatening and forget all the positive stuff. It's just the nature of the way we're wired to be looking for threats. So just as a human being, you will forget the 99.9% statistical stuff that said, yeah, this is great. And you will focus in on the 0.01% that was threatening to you. And you'll be like, that's how I should feel about myself. And then you'll think about it the rest of the GD day is you're like, I hate this. But yeah, I'm with Brad on this, is that statistically it is an outlier. And yet that's what will stick with you. And you cannot shake that aspect of human nature, is that the one negative word is what will stick with you. So I will just add on to Brad's excellent advice by saying what I have come to do as I've gotten older is, and it's one of the advantages towards liking yourself more and more as you get older. I will just say this, that as I've gotten older, I like myself, and I'm less and less impacted by the thoughts of others, if you know what I mean, Brad. Like my ego is established enough at this point that I'm like, it's fine. What do you don't like my hair? All right, who gives a shit? I don't care. You don't like my shoes? I don't care. Who cares? So on a day-to-day basis, the average opinion of a person doesn't impact me as much as it did in my 20s when I was still trying to build my personality and build how I felt about myself. But it still hurts. It still hurts even now, right? To get a negative word.
Absolutely.
And I also, and one of the reasons why I think it's an excellent line, I also feel like a third grader in a biker bar on Reddit because there is so much angry male energy, and it is angry male energy. It's a lot it's a lot of frustrated sexual energy. And I say this as an older dude. I'm being quite sincere about it. As a lot of this would be like, I can tell that you're just. You know, there's that phrase, and this is going to sound sociologically cheesy, but the phrase hurt people hurt people. Like when you are hurt, you hurt people. And I can say this as an older dude. I read a lot of Reddit comments and I see a lot of younger guys that are hurting. That's what I'm reading now. And so like the older me goes, oh man, this is a dude that's alone. And like there's nobody in his life telling him that he loves him or that they love him and that they're worthwhile, or they don't like their job, or they're feeling stuck in their own life, or they don't have a good self-image, or I can see it in the comments. You can, and then you click, if you really want to feel good about yourself, click into their comment history in general, and you'll be like, oh shit, this is a sad life. Every comment is negative from this person. And you can, I'll just say this from my own personal history. When you have someone where every comment from them is negative, the problem is not the world. The problem is that person. You know what I mean? So I have learned that if I really feel bad about myself based on somebody that got in a zinger about one of my comics, I click into their comment history because I'm like, ooh, first of all, their politics, yikes. And second of all, every comment is negative or acidic or just full of bile. And I'm like, oh, this is not a happy person. And nothing that I would have produced would have made this person happy. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
If I did produce, or if I did make something that landed, he's mad that I just exist. You know what I mean? Like, and then God forbid that I'm pizza cake and I'm a woman that exists on the internet, because then he's going to trigger all sorts of stuff for this sad individual that's going to go attacking her. You know what I mean? Like, God forbid. I really pity the having to be in her shoes, because for whatever reason, she just generates so much bile from young, angry dudes that just I can just feel the frustration in their comments. And you're like, my dude, go out and talk to a woman. You know what I mean? Like, just get this energy out. Just get offline. But anyway, that's me pontificating at this point. So for being an artist online, part of it is the sting does dissipate the more you do it. Don't you find that to be true, Brad?
Well,
the sting will dissipate as you read their other comments, because you see that they are fundamentally unhappy people. And the sting will fade the more you build up your own sense of self and ego. And that comes with time and tide. So only really years on your life can help in that respect. But I do want you to know that even at my age and even at Brad's advanced age, we still feel the sting of...
Wait a minute. Rewind just a minute. At whose advanced age? You thought you were just going to slip that past me with your little hypnotic voice?
But what I'm saying is that even at our age, does it still sting? Absolutely. And Brad and I will call each other and be like, this motherfucker with this comment, I want to murder somebody. So yes, it still hurts, but I guess I'm trying to say it does get slightly easier.
Yeah.
with a little bit of mental gymnastics and with some strategies, but it will always kind of be there, you know?
It's always going to sting. And the thing that helped me the most was having that brought into clear focus. This is literally a statistical outlier. And also, I learned to stop counting comments. Like, I don't judge myself on the number of comments anymore. And focus a little bit more, not even on the upvotes. I don't really care about upvotes. Again, because I've seen such an efficacy towards driving people to places like Patreon or my website that there's no direct relationship between upvotes and that. I count views. And that's it. And I track tracking links. That's it.
This is the most Zen I've ever seen. This is like, have you ever read the novel Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance? That's what you've achieved, Brad.
No, it sounds great.
You're the most Zen cartoonist. I don't even look at comments. I don't look at upvotes. I only passingly look at views. I'm Brad Guigar, floating above the fray.
I do look at comments, especially during the first hour, because if people are being nice, I want to talk back to them. I always post like a little question or a little conversation starter with everyone. So if somebody engages in a conversation, I do look at that. But no, as far as like counting comments or judging by comments, I don't look at that. I don't look at upvotes. Upvotes are unimportant to me, but I just look at the number of views. If I can get anything, for me, and by the way, these are little league numbers for most people who've been posting on Reddit for a long time. But if I get anything over like 10,000 views on a comic, I'm happy as pie. I go and then I go back and again look at my tracking links to see if those are actually getting used. And as long as that's happening, I'm good. I'm good. People can say what they want. I go on being me.
Well, first of all, I applaud my friend Brad Guigar for being an enlightened bodhisattva on that and being like, I'm floating above the fray. Nothing touches me. Because I'm just going to say, I 100% read the comments. I 100% check out the upvotes. I 100% look at the views. I'm all in. And so I can't escape. I need that and the energy from a good, like when one is clicking, oh man, I feed off that for days of like, oh, I got to the front page of Reddit. I'm okay as a cartoonist, that kind of thing, you know?
Can I be honest with you? Sometimes I kind of don't want the Reddit front page. I kind of don't. I had one comic not too long ago that really took off. And unfortunately, I label it NSFW, so it would have gotten to the front page if I hadn't done that. And it was
is that true?
Borderline.
Wait! I didn't know that. So NSFW can't physically get to the front page.
Yeah, they don't put that stuff on the front page. Otherwise, they'd be dealing with a whole lot of stuff they don't want.
See.
Right?
Yeah, I never thought about that. Oh wow, Brad. Okay, sorry, I'm learning.
This was a scene from a brothel, and there was no nudity. There was a painting of a nude model on the back wall that was literally done with like 3 lines. It was the least, nudity that you could have. And I just, out of more than anything habit, that's another thing. I post a lot of stuff with an NSFW tag, even if it's not, because I find that weeds out a lot of the pearl clutchers.
And it also, it's people seek out the ones that want NSFW will seek it out because it's NSFW. Yep. So
and the rest of the pearl clutchers I don't have to deal with because hopefully they've got
pearl clutchers.
Seriously. But anyway, I had done something and it was doing great. It was part of the Christmas countdown. It was doing fantastic. And I'm like, and by the way, you're right. That does feel good. I'm not going to lie to you. But when it all of a sudden tipped over into where it was clearly going, quote unquote, viral, that's when all of a sudden the negative stuff started rising exponentially.
100%,
because as soon as people see something that's getting a ton of upvotes, there's a certain type of person. It's the same type of person that Dave was describing a minute ago. That is a contrarian. And if everybody thinks it's great, they're going to come in and sniff and tell you that they think it's horrible, right?
Yep.
And those comments started expanding exponentially. And then at that point, I don't care how zen you are, you're following that shit for the rest of the day. It's a complete distraction.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I just assume not go. I've got a nice little sweet spot in the middle that I try to keep to. I don't necessarily want to go viral.
Yeah, and so because it was helpful for me to hear from Brad, I'm going to share with you all what I get from Reddit a lot because I think it will be helpful for you to hear. I hate this guy's drawing style. Why does he draw like this? Are those kids' glasses or are those eyeballs? I get that shit all the time. It's fine. I get it. What a stupid looking duck. I get that. Right. I get that a lot. I'm like, I get what phoned in writing, what a phoned in punchline. I get that a lot. Right. Mm-hmm. I also got, and this is really specific, but you'll get where I'm going with this. I also got, this guy stole this punchline from a regional Australian television show that aired in the late 70s.
Oh my God.
Which you will self-evidently see why that is a ridiculous comment to make online. But Brad and I have gotten a version of that comment all the time. It's like, they stole this from blankety blank. No, I didn't, but good on you for thinking that I did. I hate his art style. I hate his writing. He stole this punchline. Who is this for? I get that one a lot. Like, who likes this kind of thing? Like, who would want to enjoy this? Well, as we got done saying at the beginning of the show, different strokes for different folks. There's 40,000 people that love this comic. You just happen to not like it. And then, as Brad said at the end, if it really does take off, you get the people that just hate joy. And so they're like, I hate you all for liking this. I don't want to comment on if it's a blue dress or a gold dress. I hate you all for being intrigued by this. Can we go back to being bored again on the internet? And you're like, fuck you. Just have a moment of joy, I get a version of all 5 of those comments every time I post to Reddit. And then I also get is he still working? I can't believe he's still online. I get that one a lot. I think Brad gets that sometimes too.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was, when I first started coming back to Reddit, I got a lot of, I used to read this comic. I'd be like,
which is a double-edged sword of both compliment and insult,
But then you got to put your showmanship hat on and say, "Oh my gosh, welcome back! I missed you too." And very smoothly try to mention, here's where you can catch up on everything you missed over at the website and stuff like that. But it's listen. This question asker is not wrong. Reddit is an absolute sewer. And I wouldn't be posting there if it wasn't bringing me some good effectiveness in terms of promotion. The only thing is, if you're going to post there, you do have to develop a little thick skin. And again, if you rage quit, I'm the last person in the world to throw stones at you because I've done it multiple times. The only thing is, I can guarantee you I'll never rage quit it again. Have I ever told you this story? I know we're going long, but do you want to hear this story?
I definitely want to hear this story.
There's a certain type of person who weaponizes something called Reddit cares. So,
I get that one all the time. The you don't commit suicide cares? One. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're it's supposed to be there to, if you see somebody that you fear might be contemplating self-harm, you put their username into Reddit, and Reddit sends them something called Reddit Cares and says, hey, somebody says that you're posting stuff on Reddit that makes them wonder if you're, in a good state of mind and all this other stuff. And somebody sent me one of those. I've gotten one.
Oh, really? I've gotten multiple ones of those. Why do I get it and you don't? I get them all the time.
I'm telling you, post with an NSFW tag and take those pearl clutchers out of the audience.
See, out. Sheldon gets a lot of pearl clutchers, so that's... Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the same type of people. Anyway, one I got. And I told you that so I could tell you this. Do you remember me telling you that I have every syndicate rejection that I was ever sent in the late 90s and early 2000s sitting right over there? I can walk over and pull them out of a file cabinet. And those rejections that I got in 1999 fueled a 25 plus year career in comics out of nothing more than spite. Over the last 5 or 6 years, that spite was starting to dwindle a little bit because it's pretty clear, where the syndicates are headed and where the rest of comics is headed. So it's hard to feel spiteful anymore. And I got that one Reddit cares, and I have so much spite now. I will refuse to ever stop posting on Reddit because of the spite from that one fucking thing that I can guarantee you I'm going to be posting on Reddit until it's just something that doesn't deliver good ROI for me because of spite. It just took one. It took me a whole drawer full of syndicate rejections to power me through 25 years. But I'll be on Reddit until I die, unless all of a sudden it drops off a cliff, because that filled me with so much spite, Dave. I ain't never going to leave.
Yeah. Well, I'll add one more philosophical thing that I sometimes use when I'm looking at negative comments on Reddit or online in general, which is oftentimes when I'm feeling philosophical and I'm okay with, like, you know, I'm like, the comment doesn't really hurt me, but let's try to examine why this is even being done. Why is this person saying this? I kind of feel like bile and anger and wanting to tear someone down, Brad, philosophically, that's creativity with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's someone whose life offers them no path to create things or to bring things into the world that add positivity, but they still have the impulse to add to the world. So all they can add is negatives or something that tears something down, you know? And so it's another way of saying hurt people, but bile often, I feel like, is creativity with nowhere to go. They have nothing in their life that gives them an outlet. And so their outlet is just expressing bile because it's quick and easy. It gives them a sense of feeling, but it's not what you want ultimately in life. You want to be creative. So it's one of the other reasons why, even though the webcomic path is hard and cartooning in general as a path is hard, it's good for your soul because you're creating, you're adding to the world. And even if the one that you're creating tomorrow only makes 5-10 people's world better, God damn, you made 5-10 people's world better. That's a great thing. And it's
fantastic.
One of the reasons, it's one of the reasons why Brad and I are such advocates for a creative path in life, because it is, it's good for the world. It's good for you. It's good for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, that's kind of significant, that point, that everybody needs a creative outlet. Because I think it's true. I think everybody does need a creative outlet. Unfortunately, our creative outlet has come to an end until next week. So I need to tell you that you've been listening to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
Your hosts have been my delightful, insightful, and Theseus-like friend, Brad Guigar, the creator of Evil Inc. over at evilcomic.com, and the host of webcomics.com, which we don't talk about enough, is a great resource for folks that want to jump on over there. He's also the co-host of the wonderful new comedy show, Wrong Way Show, the comedy and drawing show over at wrongwayshow.com.
And my good friend, the also Theseus-like, the Theseus thespian, Dave Kellett, co-director of the comics documentary Stripped, and the cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com and Drive at drivecomic.com, and another wonderful co-host along with our good friend Kevin McShane of the new drawing show at wrongwayshow.com.
And the Comic Lab theme song is used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net. And this episode was edited by the ever wonderful, ever whimsical Matt Woodard of Woodsong Productions over at www.woodsong.media.
If you love Comic Lab, you can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and you may hear your review featured on a future episode. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Spotify. It only takes a couple seconds, but it means so much, and it helps us stay right up there at the top of the charts where, let's face it, you and I both know we belong.
And Comic Lab is made possible by your continuing support over at patreon.com/comiclab. So I will go ahead and say that twice. Patreon.com/Brad in the Shower. I love the idea that you rehearse the shows in the shower. Like, oh boy, I'm soaping myself up, and I'm going to talk about this on the show.
Yeah, and usually they turn into rants and stuff like that. But if I've got a thought, I kind of work it out. What's the best way? It's that. And since I stopped teaching, I'll launch into a lecture. Because like I used to love when something would happen in the zeitgeist, or, there was a new movie or a new TV show, and something would happen, and it's a perfect illustration of a concept that I'd be teaching that day. And I could come in and say, if those of you saw Always Sunny in Philadelphia last night, they did XYZ. Let's talk about the importance of, a cold open, that kind of starting the story right at the beginning of Maybe I wasn't a very good lecturer. I can't land this plane. The fucking word. What is it? It's a Latin word that means start in the middle. It's a blank beginning.
Medias res and medias res.
Thank you. Oh my God.
It was fun watching you struggle, though. That's half the joy of this show is just watching you struggle. I enjoy this. I'm here for this.
Now you see why. It's a good thing I don't take a bath. I would have gone right under the water at that point.
This is like the joy of getting to be your wife on a Friday night. Just the joy of watching you struggle.
Hoping for the best, but also being a realist.
Being prepared just to cry when it's all over.